All right, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Fanon, and we're going to do a prediction video on the fight between Gervonta Davis versus Isaac Cruz. Should be a good fight, but if you want to know where you put your money, I will tell you that what I think in this video. Welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Fanon. We've got another good night of boxing, expensive night of boxing, but a good night of boxing coming up for Gervonta Tank Davis versus Isaac Cruz for a WBA regular title. This is a replacement fight for the fight that should be taking place between Gervonta Davis and Rolly Romero. And it is only really when I started making this video that I realized, man, I really wish this was Rolly Romero that he was fighting, because that would have been a really, really fun lead up into the fight. As is, not as much conversation, not as much excitement leading for the fight. There's no real personal feeling that I have about the fight like I would if it was Rolly Romero. But regardless, Rolly Romero got into some legal issues and he was no longer available to fight. So Isaac Cruz, I think they call him Little Pitbull Cruz, is here to replace him. But a lot of people believe, and I do myself also, that it may be a better, more competitive fight with Isaac Cruz, because Isaac Cruz he's a diminutive fighter, maybe like 5'4", strong fighter, somebody that really likes to mix it up, somebody that's an aggressive fighter who should make for a more exciting fight than kind of the sloppy, and he's not as sloppy as Rolly Romero is. Rolly Romero, I think if this fight was taking place, really would be winging for the fences and then pretty much walking to something gigantic, you know, not too long into the fight or after he fatigued. But Isaac Cruz, I think, or Isaac Cruz, I think is how I pronounce it. That's a little bit of a different order. And, you know, this is what I think is going to happen. And after I tell you what I think is going to happen, I'll tell you what I think is next for Gervonta Davis. Isaac Cruz, because he's a very aggressive fighter and is going to come out looking to take the fight to Gervonta Davis, I think we're going to have maybe 2 or 3 rounds feeling out rounds for Gervonta Davis, where Gervonta is more on his back foot, jabbing from the southpaw stance, staying a little bit of at a distance and really trying to get his timing and space right on Isaac Cruz. But then as Isaac Cruz starts kind of coming in, and I do believe he's going to be trying to wing. From what I saw, he is a fundamentally sound fighter, but he's somebody that really likes to get in the chest of of his opponents and really let his hands go. He likes to throw a lot of wide hooks. I see Gervonta Davis staying on the outside, boxing for a few rounds, because if you check the stats on Gervonta Davis doesn't really throw a lot of punches, at least over the last several fights. He's not really throwing a lot of punches in the beginning of the fight. He kind of stays out at a distance, and I think he, you know, averages somewhere around 17 punches per round for, you know, the Leo Santa Cruz fight and for the Mario Barrios fight. Just really kind of standing, you know, at a distance and trying to figure out, and those were taller fighters, but still, you know, even in the press, even in the lead into the fight, Gervonta Davis was talking about how, you know, he's not going to go in there and just go at and attack Isaac Cruz. He's going to try to figure out exactly what Isaac Cruz is bringing. And once he sees what Isaac Cruz is doing, then I think he'll step up and really try to start taking the fight to him. Now, when I expect that to happen is probably around 4 or round 5, because Isaac Cruz is so aggressive that it's not going to be a situation where Isaac Cruz is jabbing from the outside and, you know, and kind of like, you know, Leo Santa Cruz was doing, standing behind that stick, the jab in the right hand, you know, for a prolonged amount of time. It's going to be Gervonta Davis that's catching him, you know, with the jab or the straight left hand coming in and then dipping off to the side and getting off. I see Gervonta Davis changing angles on him a good amount of the time, and, you know, counter him and then getting out of there, getting away from Isaac Cruz from the counter shot. But eventually what is going to happen to him, I think, is once he starts to getting the timing of Isaac Cruz, I think what you're going to wind up seeing him do is really set him up for the uppercut. He's a shorter fighter, and that is going to be available to him from both the, close range like it was for Mario Barrios and for Leo Santa Cruz, but it's also going to be available to him at medium range and even shoot. I don't think he'll leap in there too crazy, but light. But from the outside. So I really do see him setting him up for uppercut, setting him up to stop him with the uppercut. And I think that more than likely is going to be the punch that really does land hard for Isaac Cruz and winds up stopping him eventually. However, I do think that I don't believe Isaac Cruz is going to go out with one shot. That's why I'm thinking it may go 7 or 8 rounds. I think that, Gervonta Davis is really going to have to stun him and wear him down with shots to the body over a little bit longer time, just because of how diminutive he is and how stocky he is. He really looks like he's built to take a very, very solid shot. But Gervonta Davis is one of these guys, one of the very few people underneath the weight of 140 pounds that has one punch knockout power in either hand. And one of the things that I really like about Gervonta is that Gervonta really does go from defense to offense very, very quickly. So I wouldn't be surprised if this was something once Gervonta really gets the patterns and the timing of Cruz down, where he's actually catches him in the middle of Cruz throwing those wider shots. Because Gervonta Davis can most definitely stay in the pocket with somebody that is throwing wide punches because his defense is so good. Also, Gervonta Davis also has a chin. Now, I'm not going to say that there's really no chance that Isaac Cruz can pull this fight out. Isaac Cruz would really have to be somebody that would wear down Gervonta Davis to the body, but I don't think that option is really going to be there for him, because if he spends any significant amount of time going to the body, he really does have, at risk of getting countered upstairs by somebody that can really hurt him and knock him out. Of course, unless, Isaac Cruz is just one of these guys with really, really great chin. But, I see it for a knockout before the 9th round for Gervonta Tank Davis. I don't see it going 10, 11, and in 12 rounds. I think it may turn out to look a lot more like the Uriokis Gamboa fight than people suspect. I think that once Isaac Cruz gets countered a few times, he will probably slow his attack down and make him think about boxing a little bit more. And then it's going to be a matter of Gervonta Davis kind of picking him apart until, Isaac, he winds up really stepping to him, getting in his chest, and he can catch him with something on the inside. Now, after this fight, what's next for Gervonta Davis? I would love to say that he'd be moving to a Devin Haney fight, or he'd be moving to, a George Kambosos fight. But I'm just not sure, listening to what Leonard Ellerbe had to say about, a lot of the fights that are at 135, saying that, there's a lot of fans that really believe some of these fights are really big fights, but they don't really know the actual numbers behind them. And that he doesn't believe those are real big fights. And I know he's talking about the Devin Haney fight, probably talking about the Teofimo Lopez fight as well, if Teofimo hadn't lost. And George Kambosos probably falls into that bucket as well. And those guys are really really looking to make money in big fights and are looking at the bottom dollars coming out of the fight. And that's just the way that they're going about the business. You can like it or not like it, but when you're predicting and thinking about what's going to happen next, you've got to take that into consideration. But anyway, it should most definitely be a very, very exciting fight. You're going to see Gervonta Davis showing a lot of his skills. More so than I think we saw him in the last couple fights, because he's not going to have the taller, longer guy, really keeping him at range for long periods of time, where he's got to kind of wade through punches to get in there and counter punch. He's going to be able to box from the outside and jab and basically and definitely straight lefts with the pivot after the straight left, kind of Manny Pacquiao style from him on the shorter Isaac Cruz. But anyway, that's my take on the matter. You let me know what you think in the comment section. We'll see if I'm right after it's over. Make sure you hit the like, subscribe, all that good stuff for the video. And with that, I'm out. Peace.